Welcome to the Growth with AI podcast, hosted by Integrated AI Services. I'm Peter Martinson, and today's episode dives into how AI is reshaping creative strategy and brand growth. Our guest is Alexandra Crotta, founder of Cora Agency, a full-stack marketing and growth firm that helps brands turn insight and innovation into measurable results. Alexandra, it's great to have you here.
Hello. Hello, Peter. Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, tell me your story. How did you get started doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, great question. So, my background originally is actually fashion and music. I went to Los Angeles. I got signed to a record label company, have been producing music and singing my heart out and writing songs for the last 10 years, designing perfume and varying accoutrements within the fashion world. And then during COVID, I actually embarked more into the marketing arena, and discovered the inner workings of marketing agencies and decided that I wanted to do it myself. So I kind of took everything I knew from the back end of the companies that I worked for and went and recreated kind of what they were doing, but a little bit more boutiquey. So a lot of kind of what I like to do more on the client success is like life coaching in some way. So kind of working them into the perspective of like, okay, once we do scale your company, what is the money going to do for you? Very basic, like discovery questions, but like I really walk it out for them. So like if they're like, I want a $4 million house in San Francisco, then I break it down into quarterly revenue goals and then we can kind of go from there. Um, yeah. So that's kind of how it started, I guess.
Interesting. So from art and music and perfume into a marketing agency. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Marketing, right?
yeah. And I'll have to look up some of your music after the show. I didn't realize that you were actually a singer.
Yeah. Spotify, baby.
Okay. So, Cora is a full stack marketing and growth agency. And how are you currently, using some of the newest tools on the market, some of the AI tools to
Yeah.
help your agency and help you with clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love a lot of tools, but ChatGPT is kind of the latest and greatest. Prior to all of these large language modeling apps coming out, I actually trained with several, I think like DOD. I can't quote them on that, but some interesting contracts out of Virginia that like were like, we want to use your brain and training data for AI. So that was like a really interesting sort of psychological operation that I kind of came into the I don't want to say like fallout, but it was sort of like the initial underlying precursor to ChatGPT, which I think from a large language modeling set, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of our like biometric like sensors and all the varying AI technologies behind AI, they're using our data to train large data sets. So you need to be aware of like, am I giving you consent to use my biometric data? So I'm really on the advocacy of like licensing all of your conversations with ChatGPT, which is something that I'm kind of like discovering is is kind of like it's more on the cybersecurity angle of AI in some way. And AI has been around for a long time, right? Uh,
Mhm.
since the 70s, I think. And so we're just kind of rebranding it, I'm seeing, to kind of increase awareness within, I don't know, the younger generation. Um, but yeah, from like a very tool-based set. ChatGPT is amazing. Gemini, I love Instantly for outbound. I've been building my own sort of large language modeling system that's sort of like a sentient AI woman that can kind of like, I don't want to say diagnose, but kind of like help you get through like stuck trauma in the spine is one of the things that I'm creating. So like really into spinal like network reprogramming using AI, which is really kind of new and absurd, but yeah, AI is amazing if you can figure out how to work it.
So, okay, so I heard ChatGPT and Gemini and Instantly, which
Yeah.
yeah, I'm certainly familiar with all of those too. Um, so, but out of those, like which ones do you use on a daily basis with your clients to help them with their marketing goals?
Yeah. So instantly for sure, because I'm mostly an email outbound machine. I get a lot of my leads from Instantly as well as LinkedIn. And then Helper is the other one that's really amazing. Which is kind of like I don't want to say it's like a lower scale, but it's like a $40 like tool, I guess, that, like, the interface is kind of not the best, but it's amazing because you can send, like, LinkedIn messages en masse to thousands of people every day, and the response rate's really amazing. And then for ChatGPT, I use that every day for copywriting, but then also auditing companies as well. So, like, if you do have a block or a break in revenue, where is that revenue cycle dipping down? And kind of using it more of like a financial escaping tool to kind of see like, okay, well, if we're noticing at Q4 that, everyone's getting lazy because it's the holiday or everyone's increasing their revenue, that we can kind of go in and kind of like, play around with how to increase bandwidth or focus for the employees. So it's also kind of like an HR tool in some regard.
Interesting. Okay, I don't think I'd ever considered using it quite like that. That's I'll have to remember that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of, like, ChatGPT as well is, like, you can ask it to create whatever you wanna create, right? So, like, if you're like,
Mm,
"I want you to make me, like, an astrology tool that targets 20-year-olds that are in college," or something like that, then you can do that, like, if you would like to.
right. Hypothetically.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Figure out figure out how to do it on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also from, like, the perspective of, like Palantir and more of those, like, government-based AI systems. Interesting to see how much data they're collecting, like free data just from ChatGPT use. Um, yeah, that's like a whole entirely different conversation, but yeah, love ChatGPT. And then Gemini I haven't worked with a lot just because I've trained ChatGPT to like work really effectively with me. And Gemini, it's like a little bit harder. Yeah. And then I think that's pretty much it. I'm kind of basic when it comes to like the tools, the AI tools. But yeah, building a lot of like apps, branding, salad dressing, labels, varying brands on ChatGPT. I think I built like 3 companies on there.
Wow. I didn't quite understand that. Salad dressing?
Yes, doing marketing for a chef and
Ah,
requesting
okay.
salad dressing. So doing all of just all this content, beautiful content with like sesame, what else? Green Goddess, Caesar.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, AI for design as well is amazing.
Interesting. So remind me, when did you start your agency?
Yeah, it was about 3 years ago.
Okay, so right around the time that ChatGPT was actually sort of coming onto the scene.
Totally. Yeah. Yep.
It's
When I was first approached prior to ChatGPT, I created something called MindForge, which in essence was like ChatGPT. And I think when you look into ChatGPT's like earlier training days, you can actually find my app, but they might have erased it already. I don't know. Yeah. It's amazing how far ChatGPT has come and how AI, I think, like marketing has come in the last couple of years as well.
yep, yeah, and it's crazy to think of where it'll be in 6 to 12 months from now.
Right, because it's so
Mm.
rapid. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're working with a client, do they ask you, what tools you're using, or did you write the copy, or did you proofread the copy to check for hallucinations and stuff? I mean, are
Right.
your clients asking questions like that?
No, no one is. I mean, some people are, but at the end of the day, it's like, are you getting the best response rate? And is that converting, right? So, like, if your copywriting isn't working and it's written by ChatGPT and you are looking at, as one would call an AI hallucination. I built in some sensors where I can say, monitor where we're losing people, or monitor where they're reading the script and they are identifying that it's AI, or increase the bandwidth to increase like the ability to feel more money or something like that. So you can really program like institutionalization of back end programming into the words, I've noticed. So in that regard, there's a lot on the programming side that can be done. But from a client-based perspective, if they don't like the copy and they do have a marketing team in the past, then they brought it to their marketing team and then they'll rewrite it and then we'll compare and contrast notes and everything. But yeah, I think it depends too on like the like science of AI, because a lot of it when you're tracking, right? Like you're in the biometric space. So you're typing and you're having emotions or thoughts that are being siphoned into that particular text. And text circuit is either humanized or it's put into chat GPT of AI world where it's like, all right, let's clean this up. And so in that regard, I think that as a tool can really bypass some of the like human error within more of those like human written emails. And then from the personalization perspective, like if you're not getting the response rate you want by sending 1,000 emails a day, you can really go in and say, well, if I'm not getting, responses or meetings, then you can go and take that response rate and go directly and personalize it to LinkedIn. And that normally increases receptivity as well. But yeah, I think the main thing right now that I've been coming up with is that there's just such an influx of AI companies that when they receive AI outbound, they're automatically like, oh, this is an AI written script. So I think eventually we'll have to go back to like handwriting notes to kind of increase visibility or engagement in some way.
So you made a comment a couple of minutes ago, and I don't think I got this entirely correct, so correct me if I didn't. But you were saying that if you had a campaign running and it wasn't working quite right, you did something with coding and ChatGPT to check the numbers or to figure out why it wasn't
Yeah.
engaging.
Yeah.
So can you explain that? Are you using something like N8N to connect analytics on, instantly to ChatGPT, or
Yeah.
what did you mean by that?
That's an amazing note that can be done, connecting instantly directly into the emails. But what I mean on the background of the coding side is more so like, and this gets more into kind of like cybersecurity, but like if you would like to intentionally create an extra 250,000 or $500,000 or even $5,000 for a client, then you can go right into the code of the email. Um, like uh, decrease disbelief in this not being a profitable system, or I'm giving away all my secrets here, or increase the value market of our two companies working together, or decrease churn or burnout within the company within, I don't know, a quarter or something like that. So this is more like, I think they consider like insider threat auditing in some way, but that kind of languaging behind email, although emails are just written out like, hello, blah, 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 there's always a code behind it, right? Because it's computers.
Mhm.
So the interesting code behind that is like, you can imply if we do work together, I can ensure that you will get, whatever it is that the client is needing. Obviously, revenue is number one priority for companies these days. So, did that answer?
Yeah, they did. That's fascinating. You're right. You're giving away some of your secrets. We can always delete the podcast instead of.
No, that's okay. I would love to be able to like increase conversations around that because I always bring it up and people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's certainly very interesting. I'm about to think about that some more, and maybe send you some follow-up emails to say what was that again?
Yeah. I mean, like Tony Robbins and everything, like he's got his email people on the other side being like, all right, I can make sure that I can get you a $5 million ad tomorrow with his email. That
Right.
thing.
Um, but, I'm just curious, can you give any examples of, not naming a client, but, where you've managed to materially, help a client through one of your campaigns, either by, increasing, leads or increasing conversions through some of these techniques that you use?
Yeah, that's a good question. All of last year, I ran all LinkedIn outbound campaigns, and all of them for the first 6 months performed incredibly, and then following performed horribly. So, there's definitely, like, a sort of dissonance I'm noticing with outbound LinkedIn versus outbound emails. Email campaigns I've noticed have had the most success across the board with all of my clients, and I think that's why I prioritize that when selling it, only because when you send 1,000 emails a day, the open rate, you're going to always get a consistent sort of base, right? And then from there, the conversion's around 30%. But I would say in terms of, like, clients that I've worked with, I think the biggest sale was a $250,000 close. But I kind of average around, like, increasing by, like, 30K every, like depending on the average deal size. But, like, 30K I've noticed is, like, once you hit that, then, like, it's really easy to scale. But if the client, is selling a service that's, like, small, like, I wanna say, like, under probably mid-market, but, like, anywhere between those, like, user interfaces at, like, $10 a user, $250 per service, or anything of that nature, um, it's a lot harder to scale, I've noticed. But if you have a ticket size of, like, 2,500 upwards of 15K, then getting those clients to close is a little bit easier. Um, but yeah, I would say my last year, the most success would probably be, I'd probably say there was one $850,000 deal that went through, but also currently is kind of we're not exactly sure where it's going yet, so that was, like, a huge win. And then I would say from I'm going through my Rolodex right now. It's like a supply demand chain company that was incredibly successful, really hard selling them too. And they had, like, an amazing, awareness around TikTok, which was interesting. Um, yeah, and then selling to a lot of other agencies has been the bigger thing, kind of white labeling, which has been
Interesting.
good,
Okay.
yeah.
So, for brand authenticity and storytelling, how do you use these tools but still stay authentic to the brand and authentic to their existing story, or work, to improve their story?
Yeah, oh, that's probably my favorite question. I would say, like, branding is it's a hard one, especially in tech sometimes because the market is so oversaturated.
Mm.
But I think, like, rebranding has been really a lot of people are, like, terrified by the concept, but if you can just switch, like, several keywords within websites, that can actually increase SEO dramatically. I'm kind of with Quora right now working on this new project called Anchor Field, which is in essence like narrative sovereignty. Like, if you can take a narrative, whether that be a new email campaign or a new marketing endeavor with a brand, getting clear on the audience, like, we wanna make sure that we're only targeting X, Y, and Z, for these purposes, or we wanna make sure that we're only targeting, AI SaaS users that have a budget over 5K or whatever it is. I think really getting clear on what they wanna hear, and then also using that kind of programmable language on the back end to be like, "Okay, well, we know this audience loves," if we're selling, perfume or something, um they love this music festival, and within that music festival, these artists, and within these artists, they have an affinity for, like, Urban Outfitters. So the storyline would be like, this sounds very vague, but, like, hipsters going to Coachella next year all will be smelling the same scent, right? That's very basic. And then from an AI perspective, I'm working with this one client actually that he is selling a software that prevents like really high risk security level clearance for like big C-level executives. The branding's a mess. Not a mess, but like I'm like, we need to like fix these things to be like, we know how to influence you safely, so we can get you through this door rather than like you getting hit by, X, Y, and Z, whatever that might look like for you and that particular C-level executive's head. So the branding component of that is like is like very, very important. And also it depends again on like who it is that you're speaking to. Um, yeah, I could go on and on about different branding because you can change it too depending on like who it is that you want to like work with or sell to, as you probably know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good place to start thinking about wrapping up is with that story. But before we do, what do you want people who might hire you to know about you and your agency?
Ooh, I love companies and leaders with really lofty goals. Also new companies, new agents, new founders of companies. If you're a startup, I love being able to rework marketing plans, marketing scripts, the internal marketing team. Um, I love being like on the consultative side of marketing teams as well. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much the vibe. And also, of course, like getting the revenue side going. So whether that be email, SEO, ads, or even just like harnessing like who your audience you want to work with, I think that would probably be like the main conversations that I'm interested in.
Very cool.
Thanks, Pete.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I'm definitely going to go find you on Spotify after we're done.
Nice. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, let me know.
But and maybe we'll talk again in a year and see how things have changed for you.
Oh, I would love to.
So fantastic. Well, take care, and it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much, Peter.